Are you asking yourself what could you do with those old blueberries that you bought that you didn't eat quite enough in time and they're kind of getting a little wrinkly? Well, we're going to make blueberry muffins today because I bought blueberries and didn't eat them fast enough. So, here we go. We're going to start by taking our old and wrinkly blueberries, they're still okay though, and adding half a cup of flour. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. You can't see what I'm doing! So you're going to take your old and wrinkly blueberries and put a half a cup of flour on them. And just sort of mix that around. The flour actually helps the blueberries from sinking to the bottom of your muffins when you make them. Good. So once you have the floured blueberries, we're going to take a quarter of a cup of butter, which I've cut into little pieces because it was cold, and a quarter of a cup of sugar. And because this is a small amount, I'm going to use the old-fashioned hand mixer. And we're just going to cream those together until they're light and fluffy. Okay, that's done. Now we're going to add 1 beaten egg. And mix that in. Now this next step is supposed to be done in parts, but I actually figured out it doesn't need to be. So we're going to put it, what is this thing called? This, oh, it's a thing with a screen on it. Whatever this thing is called, we're going to put this in and add 1.5 cups of flour, tablespoon and a teaspoon, so altogether 4 teaspoons of baking powder. A tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. We all know that, right? Excellent. And a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to shake that. Make sure that none of the flour has any lumps in it. There we go. And I should have added in the cinnamon while I was sifting. We're going to add in just a quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we need to add 1 cup of milk. Mix that around until it is smooth. Okay, that's almost it. Now, using a spatula, we're going to add in our floured berries. And we're just going to fold those in, making sure that everything gets incorporated without squishing the berries, which is why we're not using the mixer. I don't want the berries to break. And we all know folding is really easy. You just go around the side and up through the middle and move your bowl around and squish and squash very gently. Folding is a gentle motion. And that's it. We've made blueberry batter, blueberry muffin batter. And I'm going to be right back with my blueberry tin. Okay, so I just have, this is going to make 12 muffins. And I go to a restaurant supply store and you can get this enormous amount of baking cups. There are 500 in here, and I think it cost all of $1.99, which is less than what you pay in the grocery store for just a couple dozen. So all we're going to do is line these with the little papers so they come out easily. And use a cooking spray and spray the edges and inside each of the papers just a little bit. There we go. And then I use an ice cream scoop, and I'm trying to find the number on this one. They're usually numbered somewhere. And they're usually on the paddly thing, but I can't find a number on this. It may have worn off because I use these so often. I use this one. You want to fill each of these cups about 3/4 of the way up with the batter. And this will make exactly 12 of them. We just use a very level scoop. Trying not to break the berries. Some berries are going to break. That's just inevitable. But try not to. A little short. All right. And I happen to have in my freezer a big bag of streusel. Don't you? Doesn't everybody? If you don't, just streusel is really easy to make. It's just butter and flour, some cinnamon, and some oats. And I will try and have that proportions in the description box below. And I am just putting on, oh, I don't know, about a tablespoon on each one. Till it looks right. Because that's how we do it here in the kitchen. And then to make it extra special good, I buy raw sugar, also called Demerrara sugar, and we are going to put a pinch on each one because these are big giant sugar crystals, and they're yummy on top of muffins. All right. These go into a 425-degree oven for 25 minutes. They're going to be delicious. I just recorded like 6 minutes of fabulous talking to you about my favorite cookbook, and it didn't record. So I will do it again. This is my favorite cookbook. It is the 1976 version of the Settlement Cookbook. I've had this since I was 12 years old. There's my little, whoops, there's my little 12-year-old handwriting. And this book has everything in it. It's an old cookbook, and yet whenever I want a weird recipe or a basic recipe, it's in here. It's a little strange. It's fabulous, but it's a little strange that everything I've ever wanted pretty much is in here. And it has these amazing sections at the back. So it has all of the regular recipes. And then in the back, it has these fabulous sections on preserving and pickling. It has one on freezing and canning and drying. It has food and your family's health. It tells you how to feed a diet for a toddler or a preschool child. Food for young school children. Special recipes for infants. Adult food needs, special diets. It even talks about low fat and low cholesterol diets. Can you imagine way back then? That's amazing. Invalid cookery, so that you can cook for an invalid. It has a spice chart. And my favorite section is entertaining guests. It's very clever. And it tells you all about the different types of service, the different ways you can set your table. It shows you the different ways to properly set a table. It has the best way to set up a buffet table, and it's actually correct. Basic pots and pans you'll need, a housekeeping guide, organizing a housekeeping schedule, directions for use of a gas range or an electric range, emergency housekeeping, this is my favorite section, what to do when the electrical power fails, and it says check first whether fuse has blown. Pretty good advice. Although this just then goes on to say keep a reserve supply of each fuse so you can replace them. They're not done that way anymore. You just flip the breakers nowadays. But it has how to start a wood or a coal fire, how to cook without equipment. This is, again, one of my favorites. It's one sentence. Wrap leaves in food. Wrap leaves in food. Wrap food. Bleh. I just got lipstick all over the bottom of my chin. Wrap food in leaves and place in fire. Or impale on a spit made from a green twig. How clever is that? It has 2 pages on stain removal, how to get out every kind of stain you'd ever want. And I could have sworn it even had, like, how to skin a squirrel. There's care of silver, how to keep your silver looking nice. And in the front and the back are, one of them is contents, and the other is standard weights and measures, so you can always figure out how to figure out what they're talking about. And on the back is another really good chart to have. It is basic equivalents of things for when you're missing food. You want to make a recipe, but you don't have dried beans. 1 pound of dried beans is the same as 6 cups of cooked. There you go. So again, this is the Settlement Cookbook. This is the 1976 edition. This one is far better than the newer one. There was, I think, one other printing of this. You can't get them new anymore. They're out of print. But there was a newer one because my mother-in-law loved this book so much. She wanted one, and I finally found her one on eBay, I think, or Amazon. And it was newer than mine, but it had been ruined. Somebody had figured out microwave directions for almost all the recipes, and that is not how you use this cookbook. It's just not. This one. It did have a dust jacket on it, but I don't remember. I mean, this is so old. There's held together with tape and love. I love this cookbook. Okay. A mere 25 minutes later, and look how pretty they are. And I am going to very carefully try and get in the frame. And I'm going to lift out each muffin and put it on this rack so they can cool. Yes, it does. All right, I actually have somebody in my kitchen. Yay! It's Tim McGillicuddy. No, Gil McGillicuddy?
Gilly McGillicuddy.
There we go. So he's going to taste test one of our delicious blueberry muffins. He's already had one.
I was going to say I've already had one. This is number 2, and this is already after sandwich. This is awesome. I love the crumbly
The Struesel Topping.
Struesel Topping, and the blueberries are big and fresh.
Yay! And they fall apart. They're very messy, but they're sweet, and the blueberries are juicy, and he can't even speak. Look how good those are.
Completely full of blueberries. That's so awesome. I love this.
I blackmailed him to come on TV.
I hate doing this, but I do love the second blueberry muffin.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.